Hi, this is Vicente and you are listening to Torrevieja Talk.
Hola, my name is George, captain of Torrevieja. You are listening to Torrevieja Talk.
Hola, me llamo Vicente y estáis escuchando Torrevieja Talk.
Good evening and thank you for joining us on episode 10 of Torrevieja Talk. My name is Paul from the FMC.
I'm Chris I'm the commercial director at the club.
And I'm Paul from the fellow Penya to the FMC, the Merseyside Socios of Torrevieja.
Fantastic. Let's get down to this week's episode. What will we be talking about, Paul?
Okay, so this week we're actually going to be discussing the absolute fantastic performance on Sunday. And our 2-0 win over local rivals Torrevieja. It was a game we went into when we were desperately in need of the 3 points to get us up out of the relegation zone in a way. And in fantastic fashion, we got them, Chris.
Yeah, it was an absolutely, it was a brilliant day, absolutely brilliant day. It was our best crowd of the season. I think about 850 people there, which was a bumper crowd. Torrevieja brought quite a few down as well, which was good as they're only just down the road. As you say, really needed a win first of all, but a win with a very solid performance against quite a poor Torrevieja team, to be honest. But still a solid performance was exactly what we needed going into the Elche game this week.
I think the crowd, Chris, sounded fantastic. I mean, what was it like being there?
As I say, the atmosphere was amazing. The Fondo Serpenya behind one of the goals were just on it from the word go. I think about 6 or 7 of the lads turned up with drums, and they just did not stop playing throughout the entire match. That with, as I say, quite just general numbers in the stadium, it just made it a really, really great atmosphere. I think anyone that came along to their first game on Sunday will have definitely gone away sort of thinking, wow, this is something we'd like to do again.
I think
obviously.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, and obviously the result and the performance will add to that as well. It wasn't as well as the atmosphere.
Yeah, it was just everything fell into place on Sunday from start to finish. It was excellent.
I wanted to ask you, Chris. There was a bumper crowd there compared to previous games this season. Was that the locals rallying behind because they saw Torrevieja needed the support? And did many who maybe had arrived for the first time, did you hear them leaving the ground talking about coming back again?
I think it's sort of it's a mixture of lots of things. The previous game as well against Crevalente, we had a decent crowd, but this was a bigger crowd. There's a lot of promotional work that we're doing behind the scenes. So sort of everyone on the board is out there, sort of just trying to get people in the ground. We've done quite a lot of radio advertising in the last couple of weeks, and again, plus it being a team that is literally just half an hour tops down the road. They're the closest thing to a local rival that we've got, so that would have just added to people wanting to come. It was also a fiesta weekend. It might have been that people were looking for something to do on the Sunday. A whole load of things could have gone into the fact that people turned out to actually watch the side.
Well, I think for myself and Paul as fans of the club, I think well done to yourself, Chris, and to the board. As you said, you've done a lot of work behind the scenes, and it is clearly paying off with the crowd that turned up. So fair play.
Well, it is very much a team effort, and hopefully that isn't just a one-off. I mean, it's great to get one really, really good crowd, but now we've all got a taste for it like that. It'd be fantastic to see the same again when we play Castellon in a couple of weeks' time, and then even for the games against not so local and not so bigger clubs as Castellon. It'd just be great if we could really start to get a consistent in and around at least 1,000 people coming to watch the games.
Yeah, definitely, that would be fantastic. Let's get into the match. I think before we start, what I will say is people who listen on YouTube, SoundCloud and iTunes, you can find the link to the highlights in the description below. What I want to say before we actually talk about the goals, which were fantastic, Chris, and any more talk about it, I want to just mention the goalkeeper situation. Oscar returned in goal, am I right, Paul?
He did, yeah. He came back. It was Miguel, our second standing keeper, that played last week. He wasn't tested a great deal, conceded 2, but I don't think either of them were his fault. So we kind of expected to see Oscar to come back in.
I think the reason I wanted to pick on that first, Chris, was during the highlights. If people check it out, as I said, it's in the description below. The goalkeeping performance, in my opinion, was superb. He was taking everything early with his hands far away from his body, which means if there was a mistake, he could react and obviously take a second bite at it. I thought he was fantastic. He looked really composed.
Oscar didn't have a great deal to do, to be honest, in the entire game. I think that the highlights have probably made his performance look bigger than it actually was, purely because of the lack of stuff that he had to do. But for me, the sign of a good goalkeeper is when you haven't got much to do. If there is just one or two things that you are required to do, you do them well, shows you're concentrating. There was one moment in the second half where there was sort of a tricky cross-come shot that went across the 6-yard box. The guy was clearly offside in the first place, which means people could have switched off. Oscar dealt with it by palming it away very comfortably. That was the only real time Orihuela even got into our penalty area, to be honest. So it was a solid goalkeeping performance. In terms of him coming back, if I'm being critical, I think Miguel could have done better with the first goal in the Crevalente game. But Oscar's come back in, and for me, he's still the club's number one. And hopefully he'll be able to just sort of work his way back into that regular spot again.
Yeah, I think I think we've mentioned this for a few weeks, Paul. That from our opinions, it's just fantastic to see that there's two goalkeepers battling at this level. I think other clubs would love to have this situation where you have got two such good goalkeepers.
Yeah, definitely, and when they are there, they are putting good performances. Both of them have got clean sheets under the belt as well. Fairly early on in the season, Oscar's got his second now after the weekend. So, it is good to see. It's comforting to see. And one of the things that, as you said, it looked like from the highlights he had a great performance, but it's the confidence he was showing in his own ability. The fact that he wasn't hesitating, the fact that he was jumping into things and he knew what he was doing and things like that.
It was literally just the simple things. I know it sounds stupid to people listening, but as Chris says, when you don't have a lot to do, and the fact that when the shots were coming in, they weren't testing shots as in the corner and stuff. But that's when mistakes can happen. The lack of concentration, he goes to catch one in his hands and drops it. Where he was stepping in, hands out, catching it. It was nice to see. Before we go on to the second goal, which obviously Chris and Paul are going to want to talk about. Paul, you want to just quickly talk about the penalty, the first goal in the game?
Yeah, so it was actually really early on. It was in the 7th minute. The guys were making a bit of an attacking manoeuvre. The ball came out to the right wing, and it was Vicente picked it up. Took it down the wing, got it to the byline, and went to whip it in, got it past the man who was marking him. And then the guy on the edge of the box basically whether he put his arm out intentionally or just tried to twist in midair and was unlucky. And the ball smacked him right on the palm, and referee straight away, no hesitation, penalty.
I think from the live perspective, Chris, was it a penalty from your view?
Oh, it was a penalty all day long. I mean, the cross has come in, the guy's gone to clear it, he's kicked it into his own hand. It was always going to be a penalty. It was their left back who just had an absolute shocker and got hooked after 45 minutes. I think in that time he managed to give us a penalty, kick a striker's shot out of the stadium and get a yellow card for the most appallingly late tackle. So I don't think he'll be looking back on that 45 minutes with a great deal of pride.
Glad to get it over with.
Yeah.
Just moving on then, Chris, the second goal. I think we'll go to yourself first. Obviously, you were there in the stadium. Great composure.
It was the moment of the season so far. Matej has just knocked the ball down the line to Branny, who's probably been on about 10 minutes at this point, having come on a sub. And the guys just sort of drifted inside, got it to the penalty area, and then just accelerated past 2 or 3 players, put the final defender on his backside, and then thumped it into the net. It was, for me, the best goal I've seen Torrevieja score since I've been involved. And I don't think there have been too many better goals than that, at that level over the weekend. Absolutely brilliant moment. And again, with the crowd being the size and the atmosphere that it was, the place just absolutely, if there'd been a roof on it, it would have gone off. It was just such a great moment.
Definitely. I mean, we can't reiterate enough. People who listen on SoundCloud and iTunes, which the viewing is getting bigger each week, which we absolutely love. Check it out in the description. The highlights are there and they are worth watching. It was a fantastic game. And as you say, the game finished 2-0. Paul, what are your thoughts on the final result? Could it have been more? Are you happy with the 2-0?
Oh no, I mean, it's still early on in the season, and judging the performances, the struggles we had at the start of the season, we've got to say that 2-0 was an absolutely fantastic result. You combine it with the performance and stuff like that, it is certainly something that we want to build on from and repeat again. When you look back, what really shone out for me, shone out. Sorry, get me English back in. The commitment that the guys were showing, they were chasing down every ball. They were diving in the way when their players were pulling back the trigger. It seemed like they had confidence in themselves, confidence in the other guys. The challenges they were putting in. It was just a perfect performance for me. A clean sheet as well to boot.
Fantastic.
I think a lot of it's got to go down to the fact that the skipper Jorge was recalled.
Yeah.
I mean, Jorge for me is a better central defender than he is midfielder. He was brought back into the defence to play alongside Quintero this week, and the guy just led from that place onwards. He was committed in every challenge. He was an absolutely dominant performance from him. I think when Jorge's on the pitch, just the commitment and the desire that he shows for the team to do well, it just rubs off on the people around you. You can't not be inspired when somebody is showing that much passion for the team. And for me, he was head and shoulders above anyone else on the pitch on Sunday, and I really hope that he's back in favour now, because he just, for me, adds that level of desire when you need somebody just to stand up and be a leader. He was spot on at the weekend.
Fantastic. I think what I want to do is I want to introduce a new feature. People who follow us and who maybe don't follow us, the FMC is part of FootballManagerCentral.com, a website based around Football Manager. So what I want to do each week is pick a player from the match who Chris or Paul recommends to look at on Football Manager, because the whole of the Torrevieja squad is available on Football Manager. So Chris, if you were going to pick someone who you'd recommend who could step up to the next level, who would it be?
That's a really good question. For me, I'm gonna have to pick on Branny, because Branny was part of my team that I did really well with Torrevieja myself before all this started for everyone. He was playing in the attacking midfield role for me in a lovely little strikerless sort of situation. I'd say go and check out Branny. I'm pretty sure that his stats must still be pretty strong for this time round. He's a good player.
There you go. Andy scored the goal, which obviously we're all talking about. Before we move on to the other scores from the weekend, what I just want to quickly do is say that this episode is supported by Johnny Cooper Championship Manager. So Chris, John, just let people know where they can get that book.
Johnny Cooper Championship Manager is available on Amazon and on my own website, and probably in a few other lesser good places. It's definitely worth a read if you remember the old Championship Manager game.
Fantastic. I'm sure people will check that out. Paul, do you want to just give us a rundown from the other action in the division over the weekend?
Okay, so first off, it was Boreal 2, Paterno 1. Atletico Saguntino 4, Buñol 1. CD Acero 0, Rayo Ibente 3. Muro 0, Castellon 0. Crevalente Deportivo 3, Jove Espanyol 1. Villarreal C 1, Torre Levante 1. Ontinyent 2, Recambios Colon 0. Althera 4, Benignim 2. And then last up was Novelda 1, Elche Ilicitano, who we've got next, 3.
Fantastic. Paul, thank you for running through them. Just quickly, Paul, what does that mean for the league table with our 2-0 victory at the weekend?
Okay, so we've jumped up to 14th now, so we are getting a bit of breathing space, 2 or 3 points from the guys in the relegation spot. There is quite a few around there, Buñol, Muro, Acero, Orihuela, who are struggling and haven't really had some good results of late, so they're getting sucked down. So it looks like we're on the way up. Where are we? Say like 3-4 points separate us and the next 6 or 7 above. Fantastic. So, we can get another couple of results, even if it's a draw and a win over the next 2 games. We could be definitely in chance with getting a good leap up the table.
Definitely. Again, the second part of players recommended for Football Manager, as people know, Torrevieja are based just behind the Segunda B. So, Paul, do you want to just read the 5 top goal scorers in the division? Maybe people can check them out and sign them for higher Spanish league clubs.
Fantastic. Well, the top guy at the minute is David Grande of Althea. He's got 7 goals. He's the out-and-out top scorer. Next up, we've got 5 guys on 6. So his teammate Mauro Mello is on 6. Carlos Esteve of Atlético Sagantino, who got a brace at the weekend. Victor Pino of Boreal, the new guys to the league. Nua of Elche, who we've got this weekend that we need to keep an eye on. And then Mario Real of Muro. So there's actually quite a few players for lower down teams who've got them. And it's pretty much they've got the only goals that the teams have scored.
Definitely. And what about people like myself who like a nice clean sheet?
Then they're definitely the guy you need to go for is Ontenient's keeper, Paredes. He's got 5 so far out of the 9 games. So he's definitely one you want in your side. There's 3 more with 4. And that's Adrian Luna of Sagantino, Alvaro Campos of Castellon, which is actually quite surprising because they've been doing poor lately, and Zemo of Villarreal, the young keeper there, who might be one for the future. He's got 4 as well.
There you go, that's one to watch. Villarreal. What was his name? Zeno?
Zemo, Ximo.
Fantastic, I'll check him out as soon as we are finished. We're just going to have a look down. Obviously, the next game, Chris, is Elche away.
Yeah, so just a sort of half an hour, 45-minute trip up the road to Elche and their B team. I mean, they're in 3rd place at the minute, and that was a really good win for them away at Nebelda on Monday night. To come away with 3 points there is no mean feat at all. So it is going to be a very, very tough game. But we are looking better than we have done all season. So with any luck, if we can get a point or even nick all 3, the confidence that's going to give the side off the back of that will be amazing and take us into the Castellon game in really good spirit. So it's going to be a really interesting game. I'm looking forward to seeing if Pedreño now is looking to keep the sort of same side that he put together for the weekend, because that was the best we have played. I like the formation, I like the passion, but we do seem to change things up quite a lot when we go away from home, even though this is only literally half an hour, 45 minutes up the road. So
just saying on that, Chris. Sorry, do you think Branny's going to come in after his goal and his performances for the 20 minutes he was on?
It's really hard to call. I mean, he only came on at that moment because Adrian went off injured. So who knows if Brani would have even sort of come on? He would have even come on in the entire game because Adrian was having a good game. So I don't know. Brani, the best things I've seen Brani do has been when he's come on as a substitute. He's rapid, but he hasn't really, for me, got the consistency over 90 minutes. But he's really, really good as an impact sort of sub. So I don't know. For an away game, I would actually think that Pedreño probably will keep him on the bench. But the confidence the goal could have given him might be worth sticking him in for the start. If he was likely to play from the start and we were to go with sort of 3 behind a front man, you'd have to think Juan Mar's going to be on one side and Adrian would still be on the other side. So probably Brownie to be on the bench.
Going to be interesting to hear next week then exactly how the team's lined up, and I think it's a good situation, Chris, that there is a couple of players who we're considering for the position, better than not having somebody as backup in the position.
Yeah, definitely. It would just be good to see some players really step up and own their shirt for a while and make themselves impossible to be dropped. So far, there has been quite a lot of mediocrity in performances. There's been a couple of guys that have really played well every single time they've played, but there's been quite a lot of average sort of performances, and it's then been quite easy to change them to see if somebody else is going to do better. We just need a few players now really to step up and make it impossible for them to get dropped. And I think we started to see a few of those starting to do it on Sunday. I mean, for me, Martin had a very good game in the centre of midfield. Jorge was superb. So, and again, Oscar for me is the number one goalkeeper. Vicente always puts in a good shift. So yeah, I think we're starting to see hopefully some kind of consistency in a team.
Is there talk of people travelling? Is there going to be a coach going up there, or what kind of fan base are we going to have supporting them at this Elche game?
It's always impossible to tell. It's always impossible to tell. I would like to think that there'll be more going to that game than there has been going to to other away games, as it is so close. I would imagine that the Torre Army will probably take a sort of a stable number along, but they'll probably make their own team up there rather than putting a coach on.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, you can catch us on YouTube, SoundCloud, and iTunes. And if you do listen on any of them platforms, please leave a review. Please be nice. You can find the FMC and Merseyside Socios of Torrevieja, as well as the club itself, on Facebook. On match days, catch the build-up and the live action on Twitter at CD Torrevieja, at CD Torrevieja_EN. And also give FM Central and Merseyside Socios a follow on Twitter also. Thanks, Chris, for coming on this evening.
No worries.
Thank you, Paul, also.
Thank you.
And good night, everybody.